Our next presentation is from our second sponsors, or second and third sponsors, Conplement and Stahl. Roland and Christian will present their solution. At the Hannover Fair, we have announced on our booth their cooperation and how this cooperation looks like. It's a perfect harmony, the agenda says. We will hear in the next 30 minutes. Please.
Thank you. Welcome. And as Mike said, we are Roland Dunker and Christian Günther from Conplement and Stahl. And what we are presenting here is the perfect harmony from two solutions, which you will see. So the TwinSphere suite of components with the AAS platform from Conplement and the portal from Stahl with a lot of use cases in there that is showcasing real value-bringing cases for the digital twin for the AAS. And it's not working.
Oh. Just switch it on.
Perfect. You see, we have perfect harmony. Okay, now, what does harmony actually mean? Harmony means a pleasing arrangement of elements that creates a unity and balance, and that's exactly what we were aiming for, what we are striving for with these two components, with these two software elements. And as you will see throughout our presentation and demonstration, it's not only about software and components and products, it's also about consulting, it's also about two companies that unify their specific strengths in the area of digital twin and AAS. So, because we have a strict timekeeper, I understood, I hand directly over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. So, the Solutions Summit for today, we think it's always a good idea to put the customer into the focus. And we see quite a lot of presentations, not only today, but also through the whole year. And we see it's mostly technical driven and technical centered. And we have another idea, put your customer into the focus and think about your position, because we are not offering asset administration shells just as a self-service. We are always thinking about combined systems, so harmonized data exchange. And we are located in industrial areas, so we are also an industrial component manufacturer, and sometimes we are also something like a machine builder. So we have different hats on. And you should always think about the value chain, because you are always a part of a value chain. And the idea is to exchange data through the whole value chain. And today, it's quite common to exchange things. On the left side, you see the planning phase. On the right side, you see the realization phase and also the build-up phase. So left side as planned, right side as built, to use the right terms. And today, you exchange a lot of data by handover documents like PDF files, like Excel sheets, Word documents, and so on. And always engineers are sitting there and have to copy and paste all those different things into their own systems, and it's wasting of time. And to be honest, everyone will copy and paste those things as good as they must copy and paste things, and as they have enough time. So we have seen some studies, you will lose roughly about 80% of your data by copy and paste all those things. And so also with respect to the upcoming ESPR regulation, you have to exchange much more data, and it's even impossible to do this manually. So we believe the asset administration shell, in this case, is a big game changer. And if you think about solutions, please always be aware in which position you are and who is your customer. But on the other hand, with the ESPR regulation, you're also always a receiver of data, because even the component manufacturer buys some goods and need to consume data, so they also need to receive asset administration shells. So for a well-balanced implementation, you have to take a look to 4 major areas. So the first one is the AAS generation, and we have seen today a couple of presentation solutions for that. The AAS generation, it's always in industrial areas, a part which need to be automatically done side by side with the production of your real product. Not writing thousands of asset administration shells by hand, so this is not industrial use. The other thing is you need an AAS infrastructure where you placed all the asset administration shells. You need to think about file handling, data handling, technologies behind hosting, and so on. At the end of the day, your customers need to use those information. So you need a customer portal. And a lot of companies, when they are thinking about AIS, they missed the fourth part. It's the internal processes and the specifications, how to use it, how to handle it. So it's a question, do you want to use the asset administration shell only for file exchange? So you can do it on demand, nothing matter. But if you put the asset administration shell in the center of the communication with your customer, the single point of truth through the whole lifetime, hey, you need a different approach of that. Also how to deal with type, with instances, how to build it, and so on. So a lot of things you have to keep in your mind, and you have to discuss before you start with the implementation. And to be honest, for that, you definitely need consulting, and that's also part what we are offering, both companies together. And you also need to think about harmony and balanced use cases. So on the left side, you have the use cases for your customer, like information about firmware updates, like remote access to asset administration shells, the combination of the return process with those data models, maintenance informations, the VDI 2770 documentation part, as well as successor products through the whole lifecycle, just to name 6 very famous use cases for our industries. On the right side, you have also the upcoming ESPI regulatory. So you need to offer digital product passports. And I'm pretty sure you all are aware of the DPP 4.0 concept from ZVOE and from IDTA in combination with all big industry associations. So you have both parts which you need to realize with asset administration shells, and you need to find the right balance for that. Here you see also the perfect harmony between digital nameplates, also as a part of the ESPR regulation and the digital product passports, in combination with the asset administration shell behind. Because if you scan the QR code, hey, what's the page you will see afterwards? What's the information you will get? And with asset administration shells, you will always get the specific information for this specific serial number. So we are talking about versionized documents and all the historical things based on a single serial number, not what you get on a marketing-related web page where you always see the newest information, where you see the latest set of certificates, but they are not really in relation with the product you are standing in front of. So it's, in this case, a perfect harmony. And therefore, we will show you now our productive solution. So we established our platform, and the launch was last year during the Arkema trade show. And now I will just jump in a short second. Here you can see it. There are 2 ways to enter the portal. The first one is just scan the QR code of the product. During the marketplace sessions, we have a sample of products here. You can just scan it. I can also hand it over to you that you can just test it. But please be aware, this is a live platform, and please do me one favor. Also, the return process is combined with that, and if you click on Submit, you will create a service node in our internal SAP service. So please be aware, this is a real live page and not a demonstrator. So if you scan the QR code, you're directly in the digital twin of this specific serial number. And you can see here we have realized 4 submodels. It's the nameplate. We have also the technical data with all the full-featured sets on information. We have the documentation part, and we have a full implementation of the VDI 2770. So we've splitted all the different documents, and you can easily select the right one by click on the document classification. Just select, for example, certificates, and you can directly see all the related certificates to this specific serial number. And at the end of the day, we also have the contact information for the worldwide service contacts. Also, you can filter by country. You can easily identify the right contact if you have questions. On the right side, initiate the return process. If you click on that, everything is pre-filled, which is really known. So in this case, I'm not a registered user, so only the part for the product is pre-filled, and you can now select the reason for returning it, enter your contact informations. You can also add some comments, and if you now click on Submit, this is a real life system, so please be aware of that, then you're directly in. So you can shorten the time on the return management down to 2 minutes instead of half an hour, which is quite normal nowadays in industry applications. You can also handle all the documents. We have here a container to select and put everything together for download. Just by clicking on the star button, then you can see that this is in your container and you can collect your own download basket and select something for it. Also a big advantage if you are out in the field as a technician and you're looking for some specific value. For example, you're looking for temperatures. Just type in the search term, click on it, and it directly jumps to the right position in the right submodel, and it's also with a color marking, so you can easily find all the information. So this is for all the instances. The other way to use the platform is with the starting page. There you will also find the type information of a product for planning processes, because when you have to do a planning task, you do not have the serial number, which you will implement later on. So you are searching for information on type level. There you can also use the E-class catalog to select the right product just by clicking on the right part in this tree. For example, here, lightning installation, X-proof luminaire, fixed mounting, and if you click on show products, you will see the whole result. In this case, 152 type asset administration shells. And to select the right one, you have here a dynamic filter. For example, with the luminous flux, just select the right value you are looking for. And then if you click on that, you're directly into the type asset administration shell with the latest set on information. Because if you will order this product right now, this is a set of information which will be delivered there. So this is available for everybody. So this is freely accessible, and this is also the idea of the DPP from the SPR regulation. So a free platform where you can access all the information. For sure, for DPP, you need to add also the environmental footprint, you need to add the material mixes and so on. But the infrastructure is already there, and we just need to add some information. We have also a second area. When you register yourself, then you have much more functionalities. So in this case, you can register yourself for asset administration shells. It doesn't matter if you register yourself for types or for instances. With this registration, I switch the language into English. With this registration, you get also access to the product change notifications. So if there is something new, if there is a new firmware update available, if we detect some security gaps in our firmware or something like that, if there is a successor product available, everything you will find here within the notification area. And you can also select the information by email, but please don't have any hazards about receiving thousands of emails per day. We have changed it so that you will receive only one time per day an email with a list of information. So quite easily to see on which product and on which serial number there are some changes available. And you can also use the bulk handling, because a lot of applications which we have seen today is based for single handling, so for just one single asset administration shell. But we're talking about industrial context. So for example, our customers ordering 500 pieces of that. Do you believe they want to register manually for 500 pieces? Never ever. So in this case, you can easily select it by using the order number. So if you place the order directly in our store, then you have the order number, and you can select all the asset administration shells based on the order number, select everything, and just with 2 clicks, everything is directly related to your account in this case. If your customer knows your order number, he will receive nothing, because there's also a background check, so this is really secure. So don't be afraid that some internal informations will be handed over to someone who's not allowed to see it. For this case, just remember about the value chain. We had 3 stages. So for example, we are selling this to a machine builder. He sells his machine to an operator owner. The operator owner also needs to register a couple of asset administration shells. In this case, you can use the subscription by using the serial number. Just put a CSV file in there on the nameplate. We have a serial number and we have a pin, and this combination, just put it into the CSV file, and you can register up to 250 asset administration shells at once. So also, the bulk handling for asset administration shells is realized here. And yeah, for the upcoming trade shows, we will also expand the use cases here. So this is the first start, and this is really available, and this is really productive. So it's not a demonstrator. And now I will hand over to Christian.
Thank you. Yeah, what we've seen is the customer-facing element of it. But of course, there's a lot of moving parts necessary to achieve this. As Roland already said, we have the bulk handling of large volumes of digital twins that need to be maintained, need to be organized, need to be managed. We need a very robust platform to handle all this data, all these administration shells. And finally, with the two first, then and only then we can provide all the necessary data for a customer portal. And the very important part here is everything you've just seen is not based on some proprietary model or proprietary product database or something. It's based on AAS. So the real native data model is AAS. And this AAS, of course, is hosted in the TwinSphere. And to come into the TwinSphere, there's actually the first step that needs to be done, and that's generation. Of course, as I said, as Roland said, we always have different ways of how customers, how users want to generate or need to generate AAS. There's this group of people, of companies that say, okay, really, I understand the point with the bulk creation and all that in-process automatically creation of AAS, but really, I don't have 10,000 products a month. I have 3, 4, maybe 100 special machines per year, but I also want to have a very robust way of creating AAS. And as we already heard a couple of times this day, and I hope nobody takes this as an offense by me, but creation of AAS is a pain. It really is a pain, especially if you don't have the proper tooling to support you. So we've seen a couple of toolings already here. From our perspective, we think that if you need to manually create an AAS, then this process should be still as automated as anyhow possible. And therefore, we created the Twin Studio. It's in active development today. It will be launched in Q3 this year, and it will support the user in a guided way, in an question-answer way how to create an asset administration shell, do this manually. This is really for the type of users that say, okay, we don't have that 10,000 shells each month that needs to be created. But that's not where we started from. Where we actually, as Conplement, started from was exactly that. Component suppliers that need to automatically create AAS with complex data models, with contact information, with technical data, with nameplate, of course, nameplate, with a bill of materials, and so many more, but completely integrated in their production processes. And therefore, we first of all created our SDK. It's also available on the internet, on GitHub. It's called Typed AAS Meta Model. And it's a way of creating, helping your development team, or you can also ask us to do that, to create a service that connects with the supporting system, with the source systems, and then aids you and guides you and helps you in creating valid asset administration shells. There's a lot of validation processes included in there, and in the end of the process, this SDK creates an ASX file and automatically uploads it to the TwinSphere platform into your own tenant. You will see what that means in a couple of moments. And the third thing is, that's where we say, okay, we kind of are a bit in the middle between the very manual part and the completely automated and repetitive programmatically mode. And that's where we created Semantic Connector. And that Semantic Connector is an interface to TwinSphere that transforms standard IDTA AAS submodels in plain, semantically enriched XML. So, you know, in the submodel, usually a field is not named, but it has a reference to a semantic ID, and behind the semantic ID, at one point, you will find what exactly needs to go into that field. So you need to know a lot of in-deep information, a lot of knowledge is needed to really map your source system to the data of the AAS. And the Semantic Connector eases this process by naming fields the way the data needs to go in there and provides it as plain XML. So your connecting system, your system that is used to source the data in for the AAS does not need to speak AAS meta model. So neither people that do the data modeling nor the systems that really provide the data for the AAS need to know about AAS meta model, because that's all handled by the Semantic Connector. So with these three elements, we cover the whole broad space of how do we as a company create AAS. And once AAS is created in any of those ways, they end up in the AAS platform in TwinSphere. So TwinSphere really is a SaaS solution. It's our own development. It's not based on BASICs. It's based on our Scoreworks. It helps you with creation and provisioning of digital twins. As we already said, we have these three ways. It provides a lot of services around it. And it allows you to integrate the AAS really into your processes, into your products. And it's exactly the base for the portal we've just seen. So I need to go. Mike, is 9 minutes is like final. Or is that until Q&A?
You have 9 minutes left.
Including Q&A. Okay, thanks. Then without further ado, I will jump directly in there. This is our architecture. Please don't, please excuse the bad writing, but what you see here is really the foundation and the elements that TwinSphere consists of. So in the middle, we have like the TwinSphere server that has all the functionality we already seen a couple of times today. Registry, discovery, obviously repositories, multiple repositories. We have the API, which is obviously IDTA conformed, but also offers some comfortable or comfort endpoints, like an ASX import endpoint, like a validation endpoint where you can actually validate AAS that you created in another system. The server is deployed in a cluster, which allows for scalability up to 9-digit numbers of AAS, but also allows to be deployed in a very small, very condensed way, so to say, as a monolith for very small installations. So because of that flexibility in the architecture, TwinSphere is able to be deployed from very small customers. I have 150, 200, maybe 1,000 AAS, up until environments which are distributed over multiple instances with, as I said, 9-digit numbers of AAS that are stored and made available in there. So around this, there's a lot of supporting services. As I said, Semantic Connector to create AAS from XML. Obviously, we have a status UI where you can see what's your data, how much data how much data space do you need, database space you utilize, how much files are there, how many AAS and submodels do you have, and also we have a viewer. If you don't need a full-fledged portal, then you can always just use the viewer, which is also provided for every tenant that is deployed in TwinSphere, and that allows also for scanning of a QR code. And then directly you can see all the elements of the AAS, all the submodels, and you can also see them in a designed mode and also in a generic view. Then to the surrounding the AAS platform, there comes all the things that is really needed for an industrial AAS infrastructure. Things like TwinSphere ID, which is an identity provider for authorization and security for RBAC. A notification service based on MQTT, where you can customers of you can, or yourself, obviously, can subscribe to an AAS and to submodels and receive notification if the AAS or submodel is changed. Either only the change notification, there is something that changed, or you can also put in the change data as a payload. For example, say you have a new maintenance instruction document, then obviously you could also say, okay, please be aware there's a new document, do some product change notification, or you can also distribute the updated document as well. And then we have a lot of connections on the left side, which are related to all the value chain. We have a connector for VDE 277 that converts data from documentation handover in a VDE 277 document package and automatically can upload it to ShareCat, part of the DDCC data chain, Digital Data Chain Consortium. We have a push service where you can push the AAS to different backend systems like a blob storage or an ASX server or another repository of also in different formats. As said, the XML2 AAS, semantic connectors interface. And last but not least, with a partner of ours, Soveti, also EDC connectivity to connect to Catena X or Factory X once that's ready. Will take a moment maybe. Okay, so with all these technology in the background, we said, okay, this is like really the infrastructure. It's more than just an infrastructure, it's a suite, but it really is about interoperable, standardized, scalable way to maintain, to create, and to provide digital twins, including AAS generation. But then we said, okay, someone wants to work with it, and that's where the digital twin platform comes into place with our Stahl, and that's also the reason we said, okay, we partner, and maybe you want to add two sentences to that.
Yeah, so the platform we have shown today will be available as a white label platform, as software as a service product by end of this year. So this is also a result of the feedback we received from the market to our platform, because this is really the most advanced AAS platform for customers we have seen in the market, and we got a lot of questions, hey, can we use it as a service? And that's the reason why we also have the partnership now with Conplement to offer this platform also to you.
So it will be an offering that really allows you to get a tenant in TwinSphere and then get an installation of the portal, and then you, out of the box, you get a complete digital twin platform. And it's also the strength of this and of this perfect harmony of two companies joining forces. Stahl really with industry knowledge, and we as Conplement as really passionate driven about creating great, valuable software. Stahl really as the early bird adopter of productive digital twins, and also we kind of pride that we, with back 3-4 years, already been one of the first productive installations of AAS with Knick. Stahl with their experience, knowledge about ESPR and DPP, and our experience with industrialized preparation of AAS. And I think really this is a perfect harmony.
Yeah. And also the perfect timing, right in the time. So 2 minutes for
if there
questions,
is
if there
any
are questions.
And if not, we are here, obviously. Yes.
I got one question which surprised me. You said creating asset administration shells is hard. So in the previous slide we have seen, there's this simple box AAS generation which does the thing, but how it seems very simple for a very complex task.
So, okay, you have to bring together some different knowledge. So, on one hand, you have the domain knowledge by the manufacturer who will provide the asset administration shell, and normally they are not really familiar with asset administration shells, with submodels, with E-class, and so on. So that's the other hand, and you need to match it together, and you need to identify your IT infrastructures, your single point of truth, where's your data located, and so on. So that's the hard job. But once you have done this, you can easily generate it directly as a service. You need to do the mappings, and that's what you need to do with all the solutions. You need to know which field in your data you need to map to the submodel elements or wherever you want to map it, and that's the hard job. And I'm sorry, but that's a job you have to do always. It's also a part of data cleanup, because product data is always historical related, and if you have different facilities, if you have different business units and so on, you will find a mixture of product data. In the past, it works very well to create data sheets, to create your manuals and so on. But to have really interoperable data models, you need to clean up and you need to harmonize also those data, and that's the hard job.
Yeah, and for that, you also have to, and that I know time is up, but just 2 sentences. You need to really identify what type of creation am I looking at. Am I the one that really has these millions and millions of AIs, or only 10,000s of AIs per month? Then obviously I'm really looking for an automation. But if I'm the one that has very specific needs, a couple of AIs, but still want to have maximum support in creating it, then I'm a completely different animal. And if I'm the one that says, okay, my data is scattered around a multitude of systems, it's completely distributed, then I'm in the third part. And that's the 3 ways, as I said, Twin Studio, SDK programmatically, or the semantic connector as an interface to ETL tools out there.
Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Roland.
Thank you.
Meet both of them in the marketplace. The next